Hi floral friends, and welcome back to episode 3 of Floral Observations, where we scour the internet, we find videos, we find how-tos and anything floral related, and we give our personal opinions as floral observations. And so,
because we got a lot of them.
Absolutely. And today we are going into episode 3 of what, Mr. Matthew?
Episode 3 of Netflix's new show, The Great Flower Fight. And it is thrilling. Floral designers and landscape artists, we'll just say plant enthusiasts from around the world have come together.
Expanse,
yes,
if you will,
have come together to create large-scale floral sculptures and more every week, and they are judged, and one person goes home.
And we
one team
judge every episode, and we go through and we talk about professional principles and elements, if we like it or not, and if we thought the winner should have won or not. And then at the end, we pick our favorite. So let's get into it. They did large-scale animals, and some nailed it, and some failed miserably. So let's get into it.
As you can see by our animal print today.
You can't talk about animal print without some animal print. Let's get into it. So, number 1, introduce us to our first group.
Our first team was HENCK and EOGHAN. Very quickly becoming my favorite team.
They're the eccentrics. They're everything. Yeah.
Their personalities are great. Their fashions are great. They vibe together really well. It's fun. They're really fun.
Absolutely,
to watch. Yeah. They're really dynamic. And they made an orangutan. I should add, the base structures for these animals were made, and the contestants then had to rush to see who could pick which one.
Absolutely. So the teams picked these ones or what was left.
Yes. And so the HENCK and EOGHAN got the orangutan, and I'm just gonna go ahead and say bloom. I love it. Yeah. I love what they did. They did such a great. These beasts were all made with different types of grasses.
Yep.
And that was the key. So there are living grasses that are in pots and planted, and then there are also a number of dried grasses that they were able to use as well. They created this orangutan. I love it. I think it's super dynamic.
Absolutely,
I think the facial features are amazing. It's captivating. It had a really nice storyline too about deforestation and humanity's impact on the environment of the orangutan. Where they even had something, a piece that opened up with a mirror inside so that you could see your own humanity reflected at this large beast. Was a really moving piece, and it definitely bloomed for me.
I think that this design, it blooms for me as well. I think what it was is you can take away the element of the junkyard. They placed the orangutan into a junkyard of all the trash humans leave behind. You could take that away, and it's still just as impressive of the sad, you get the story, you add it all in, and it still fits. It doesn't seem like a bunch of trash. The color, amazing. And then how they got the grasses to shape and actually look like hair. You are able to see every detail while just using grasses. They were also given a junkyard kind of area space, which had mirrors in it. It had hubcaps. It had all these kind of leftover pieces to make eyes and whatever you wanted. And they utilized it. They designed with intent. And while we've seen it in the other episodes, this episode really, they were like, this is it. We get it. We know it. They were one of the last teams to select what they had. So they had the largest, I believe, in the room. And they were like, well, it's huge. It looks like a big blob. But they took that big metal structure blob and made such a fantastically detailed piece. The judges didn't like the green that was in it. But when they came back, there was understanding of the design intent and why it was there. And it made sense.
And it really tied in with some other choices that they made.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful piece.
It blooms. The intent behind it was great. So the next one we have, it was heartbreaking. It was Sarah and Jordan. They did the ring-tailed lemur. I love lemurs. I think they're cute. I think this is where, again, you see people's skill sets divided. They do large-scale pieces with flowers, but there's a weight difference to a plant and the weight to a metal structure and all of the things that fill it to making your own mechanics. And so I'm going to give this a soft bloom because they did achieve the prompt of taking grasses and creating the design. I love the colors that they used where they didn't just go black and white. I think that could have been too, like, you'd get it. I love the color harmonies of the greens and blues that they shift through the whole entire lemur and how they made the base with other colors that really enhance the blue and green, and then the bright yellow eyes. They said they wanted to focus on the tail and the eyes. They did stumble on the tail. They did not understand weight distribution. I think they had a little bit of time management issue also, but I look at it and I'm like, I question if it's a lemur a little bit, but I still get that it's a lemur. Do I get it a ringtail lemur? No, because you have to get to the tail. So I give it a bloom, but it's a very soft bloom because it is very well executed in my eyes.
That's the thing. You can see Sarah and Jordan's skill in constructing a beautiful sculptural piece. All of that is there.
Yeah.
I think they did a great job in that. I think where they faltered a bit is, as you said, within the weight distribution of things. And there was actually a point during the competition where Sarah asked, and I believe it was she asked, what's Jim's dad's name? Ralph. She asked Ralph if things could stay in the pots.
Yeah.
Because they were having issues, and I think that's what they did. They kept everything in the pots, so it just ended up being so heavy that they weren't able to suspend that tail. The other place where I think they ran into problems was in the blending of the smoothness of kind of tapering down, almost giving a haircut to the grasses. That is something where,
and I don't think anybody really ever thinks and does that. Like, we cut grass and we did
HENCK
that.
and Jan did it very well with their orangutan, and I think that's not a normal task that any florist has ever really had.
But they're weirdos. They are the eccentrics. They're going to do weird things, and it's expected. I will agree that finite detail. Like, I still get the texture, but it's because of the color that separates it.
And I do get lemur from it. I love the colors they used. I love the eyes. I thought the eyes and the nose are something that like really kind of takes it to the point where, oh yeah, obviously that's a lemur by looking at it. And so I give it a boot, or I give it a bloom.
Okay. The tail could be bigger and it could be everything, but it was there. They got everything there.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it. I do see, where they faltered a bit, but that's to be expected every once in a while, and I still think that they did a great job. I also love they did a little bit of foliage manipulation.
They had braids
with the grasses. They braided some, and the ears were really cute. They were like bundled little.
They didn't try to get kitschy with it, which we'll see in other competitors. Their details only encompassed what they were given. If it's a grass challenge, they only used grass in that form, which I really appreciated. Because if it is supposed to have a focus on making an animal with grasses, they did it. They killed it. So they stumbled.
So our next one, so that's two blooms for
Absolutely.
them. So good job, guys. Our next one that we're going to talk about is Owen and DECLAN. They did the wolf.
This should be very in their realm. This should be something that they get. As someone that has been through a college landscape design course, and like made it through multiple semesters. This was something we actually learned and had to do as professional designs for companies. They were one of the first teams to get theirs, and they knew exactly what they wanted to do, and they had intent. I thought this was a bloom. Their details were really good. They were one of the teams that they did prune, but selectively because they wanted it to be textural and furry. But then in some parts, there's just really fine detailed whites. They do have like some kind of red, making it look like they got from the junkyard area something that looks like they had torn something apart, like a piece of meat. And they very smartly went with the intent of not being cute or adorable, which can very easily be done with any animal. They didn't want it to be fully approachable in a soft way. They went as a hard design, and I thought it was very well accomplished in color and texture and overall design.
Yeah, it's a bloom for me. I think they did a really good job. I loved the white feathering down the chest. They just made some really wise choices throughout the same thing. It wasn't my favorite.
It was just a good safe. It was a good middle of the pack. Like, you did it. The next one, I know we have different opinions on the next one, and I'm intrigued. The next one was Ryan and Andrew. We have our two artists, and they had the wild boar. Why don't you start with your bloom?
I will start.
Or
it's a bloom for me.
Okay.
I really like this one. I like what they did. I like it's giving me very wild boar. I love the long mohawk that they gave to it. It gives that gives me some. It's very, I don't know, lifelike nature to it. I do think that they could have done better in the trimming of the grasses to get a smoother coat within the body.
Where
of
a lot
the
of people
boar.
struggled. Yeah. Totally agree.
But again, that's where most people end up struggling. But they had some details that I really liked. I thought were really wise choices that were beyond the grasses that I thought really helped elevate their design. So they did this mosaic mirror and tile tusks, and I really liked those. Although they weren't necessarily even, which was kind of bothersome to me. One was a little bigger than the other one, and they kind of like sat like that, and that was a little bothersome to me. But I really liked that they went for it and did that. And they also they had a cute little log snout that they had drilled into two nostrils, and out of one of them they did like a hot glue thing of like snotty drool, and I just thought that was a cute touch. That to make it, it's a wild boar, it's coming at me. So I give it a bloom. I thought their details that they put into it were really nice, if not all of the technical skill.
Yeah. So I'm going to prune for every reason you just gave them a +4. I think that the head looks like it's just part of the body. It's just, they lost the form that was there. And while it's got cool texture and it's really fluffy and stuff and it's got a mohawk, I think it almost went from something that could be nicely detailed to not cartoony enough and not held back enough. So it's just the details, again, it goes back to almost the snail where there's not, there's intention, there's ideas, but not the specific intentions. I like the idea of the crystal tusks and the snot, but at the same time, because there's no other idea of those brought in, whether it's crystal details or something else, it completely misses the mark for me as a designer, needing intent in those details. The hair on the top was cool. It was just mixed grasses in the same color. Their color harmony was nice because it was all that reddish brown, but it fell flat for me. It was interesting in the sense of I'm making a boar, but they went from I'm making a boar to I'm making Timon and Pumbaa boar, but not really.
See, and that's it. I got very Pumbaa vibes.
I'm Pumbaa's aunt that drinks too much and smokes too much, and I live in Reno. That's what I got. And I'm like, ew, no, stop eating your packs of cigarettes. That's what I got, unfortunately. So I'm going to prune it, and it's just a soft prune. It's just those details. Go with wood to match that really beautifully detailed wooden snout. Do something I don't think snot, I think drool when I think of a wild boar, because they drool everywhere, not really snot. But that's just a personal detail aesthetic. So we're just going to do a soft prune and
and I give it a bloom.
The next one. Why? Oh no. So we have Nick and Taylor. Nick and Taylor, girl, we love you. We love both of you and your energy and your Instagrams. But this should have been something you killed. I will give them...
They made a choice and they committed to it. And for that, I applaud them.
So what did they do?
It just wasn't a great choice.
They had gotten a lion, and I absolutely love that they were I'm not doing a traditional lion. Everybody else is doing traditional pieces. I'm going to go with the Shishi lion, which, if you know, you'll see in front of Buddhist temples, and they have rolling, beautiful stonework. They have these very detailed...
They got a real angry grin on
they're
them.
very specific, more broader, fuller looking lion.
The thing is, though, with the Shishi lion, the frame that they were given for was for a regular lion. It wasn't a compacted, squished, kind of boxy Shishi lion.
But with that, the reason of course, I'm going to prune this because it's a disaster. It is a mess. I liked elements of it, how they tufted the grasses. She actually was doing...
the hair, the mane was beautiful.
She made the mane roll like an actual Shishi lion. Love that detail. I actually did not mind parts of the body, but it's when you get to the front.
The face, girl.
The face was a cardboard kindergarten cutout mess. Then you had the body that's blue. And if you're going for a stone guardian, it's regal, it's strong. It's meant to be this hyper strength and guardian. I got some cartoon like Sesame Street, but like knockoff Sesame Street because you can't afford to have like free television mess. Like this was, it got very messy when I
Girl,
was
she's giving me like off-brand Disney Mulan.
Very
like,
much, very much. And they're such good designers that again, they understand plants. This should have been something they thrived off of because this is just placing plants strategically. And Taylor knows how to put plants in the right spot by the millimeter and knowing color and placement. And this just lacked it. And in the trail, like in part of it, I believe they might have painted part of their foliage. There was someone going in and adding blue to their foliage. It's in the picture I'm looking at, it looks like the face has been badly photoshopped onto the lion because the hair on the head, the mane was gorgeous. So unfortunately,
the face was a choice.
If they had avoided the face, they would have done so much better. Unfortunately,
yeah.
So unfortunately, it's 2 prunes. It is what it is. Would you like to introduce the next fascinating
I would love to introduce the next one. The next one is another one of our favorite teams. ANDI and HELEN really love their vibe, really love what they're doing, and they did a koala, and I think it is so fucking cute.
Perfect.
Am I allowed to say that? I said it.
I'll bleep you
so
out. It'll be fine.
It is, so one of the things that they avoided doing, which a lot of the teams leaned into, was the fine detail work.
Yeah.
And they literally just did the grasses and a nose and the ears. And I feel like it was so effective the way that they did it. It is unmistakable, a koala, when you look at it. Its ears are just, I want to go up and, I just want to go.
I think the best part is the whole thing you want to touch. You want to experience it. And if you can make floral design that people want to get into and they want to smell it, they want to touch it, they want to be part of it or see how it moves in the wind, you have achieved
just like a real koala.
Yeah. You want to feel the softness.
Every time you see koala, I'm like, come cuddle with me.
To me,
and this thing I want to go hug.
This design was the Sarah and Jordan of last week. I die for this. This, to me, is a shabloom. Like this, you want to be involved with it. Is the finite details there? No. Does a koala bear have finite details? No. It's meant to be fluffy. They hit the ears. They hit the face. They hit the softness. You want to interact with it. And that is how
they got the nose shape
do it.
And size and scale.
Absolutely. It doesn't even look fully like grass when you look at the ears because how soft it is. Every direction has an intent. The color harmony that spans from blues to greens again, with that touch of white in the ears, with that contrast of white, is so perfectly planned out. And it's such a good energy. They did such a good job. It's
understated,
to me, it's a shabloom.
Perfection.
Absolutely.
It's a shabloom for me too.
I actually really like the next one in a weird way. Next, we have the hair by Ralph and Jen. And I believe that they had referenced that they wanted to go very Alice in Wonderland. They wanted it to be a hair that was not the normal. It was meant to be kind of that kooky weird. I also enjoy that they wanted to go kooky weird hair when it is his mother's favorite animal. It is uncomfortable to look at. It is awkward. It is strange, but that's why I love it, because that intent of making it weird and uncomfortable, they did it. The color combination on the body looks like, for some reason, it has mange. It's got this weird eyeball that looks into my soul and it makes me uncomfortable.
The eyeballs are just so frightening.
But I think because of their intent of making it weird and making it strange, this blooms for me because of that. Again, it's just the middle of the field, pretty safe bloom, but the intent where they haven't really done where they're like, this is what we're gonna do. This is we're gonna go for weird. We have a story that we're gonna create. And I think they achieved it. Like, they were not going for cute and fluffy. They were not going for realistic. They were going for Alice in Wonderland. It has been somewhere doing something, so.
I have very mixed feelings about this one. Technically, I think it's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Technically, I think it's one of the better ones.
Yeah.
The way that they had that bright green, the longer grass in the middle of the chest, and it blended so seamlessly with the shorter grass, and with itself going down in kind of like a waterfall portion. Technically, it was done beautifully, and I feel like that is a lot to do with Ralph's background. He is a groundskeeper for a school, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that has a lot to do with all of that. But when it comes down to some of the things, like, it's just a little frightening to me. The eyes,
it
the
stares into your
grasses
soul.
eating, coming out.
I love uncomfortable, creepy things like that.
It's a bloom. It's
Yeah.
a bloom. Don't get me wrong, but it's an uncomfortable bloom.
Which to me, I'm here for that. That's the shaboop. That's the shabab. So this last one, I was quite disappointed. Again, it's one of those teams that like you think that they're just gonna kill it. They have good personality. They get it. We have Raymond and Chanel. They had the red squirrel. And it just was like the snake last week. They won last week. But then it was just like last week where it's details on details and more and like too many things competing. Yeah. So to me, I unfortunately can't give this a bloom because it's just, I don't look at it and say red squirrel. I almost say it's a shishi dragon. Like, because you cannot distinctly look at it and tell what it is. This to me is a Chinese dragon during a festival. Color intensity. That to me is what that is. So unfortunately,
I would love to know why. Yeah, I have to prune this too. There's just some weird color choices. Yeah, the bright blue, the bright green. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense to me. Also, they did the pitfall that so many of them had in that they did not do a fantastic job of trimming appropriately. When I think of a squirrel, I think of the body is pretty sleek. You know, it's furry, but it's all very short fur. It's very sleek. Yeah. The tail though is a big fluffy. You know,
I think it's almost like the lemur of Sarah and Jordan. It's that control. How do you control the grass without over controlling it? Yeah. And they just didn't go for it. And like I don't understand. Like again with the Pumbaa thing, it's the details for me. Because they have like a crystal nut that it's holding, but then there's crystal nowhere else. There's blue on its face, but then a natural skin color elsewhere. It's just too much on top of each other. So there's no color harmony. My eye does not have a distinct place to go to as a focal point. No. The textures
and here's
also
the deal. The photo that we're looking at, it is one of the best photos of any of the pieces that we've looked at. Like it is a dead on, right at it. Yeah. And it is one of the things that I'm having the hardest time deciphering what it is that I'm looking at. And that's a problem. Yeah.
So unfortunately, that's a prune. Like it's complete opposite of, but also we have to remember this is a task where florists, they don't really do this thing. Like we play with grass, we braid, we weave, we do a lot with, but it's not a normal competitive, a lot of people don't compete in a foliage only situation where we've done shows and things like that. That's the tea. Like that's what we're looking for is those techniques and skills. So tell me, sir, who was your bloom of the week? Because I know mine is.
See, I am having a hard time for my bloom of the week. It's kind of, it's up in the air between HENCK and Jan's orangutan and the koala bear from ANDI and HELEN. I think I'm going to have to give it to the koala.
I 100% agree.
I loved HENCK and Jan's, but the simplicity of the koala really got the point across of what they were trying to achieve. And I feel like that is something that is probably, they were given a lot of time for these. Yeah. And I know it is a large scale thing, but I feel like in that large time frame too, that's a really easy way to lose yourself in just doing too many details and trying to fill the time. I feel like they did a really just concise, beautiful, you know what it is when you see it.
I'm right there with you.
That's mine.
My bloom of the week has to be ANDI and HELEN's. Koala, it's simplistic perfection. If you spend the time to make sure that it's just exactly what it needs to be, then you can add all the boops and bops, but that in itself can be a trap. If you took away the story, if they weren't allowed to tell the story, I don't think that you would be getting the same kind of effect from Jan and HENCK. Like it's
very true.
It's a good story, but take away all of, like if you were to walk up not knowing the story, or to open up the thing to have the mirror tell you that humans are destroying their habitat, you see an orangutan in
the koala is a better representation.
It's straight to the point. You know exactly what it is, and it was well executed. So bravo to ANDI and HELEN. You killed it. It's gorgeous. We love you. We love your energy, and their energy's in it. They're sweet. I would dance around their house with them and just vibe and eat cookies and stuff. And
I know, I really love their friendship. It's very cute.
So what were your guys' favorites? Do you disagree with us? Do you agree with us? This is our floral observations, and we're just observing floral design as it's happening. You can find the Great Floral Fight on Netflix. All of the episodes are there. We're just going one episode at a time, letting you have our floral observations and our opinions as floral professionals. We do have spoilers. We do have whatever's going on, but we as designers, this is what we're here for. A plant-based horticulture show that is bringing plants and flowers to the forefront of people. So,
and we love it.
Yeah.
We love it. It's going great.
It's not what I was
So
expecting.
you can find me on the internet. You can find me at on Instagram at Coach Blind Florals, or you can check out my website. It's coachblindflorals.com. Also, if you're looking for more content, if you're looking for something to watch during this time, Garrett and I have been doing a lovely live stream every Friday. We talk about the industry. We talk about different things going on in our lives, while we also pick a topic and design on it. So you can check out all of those videos. I think, oh my God, there's been 9 of them so far, I believe.
I think so.
that you can catch up on at my website, coachblindflorals.com. Garrett, where can we find you?
I am everywhere on the internet under Floral.today, and of course, we have the live. We're going to have all these YouTube videos, as you can find, but you can share during our live. Just a cool place to hang out and vibe. Nothing too serious, and just enjoying flowers, just like this show. But we just do flowers. We have special guests all lined up from around the world, just doing random topics. So make sure to give your floral observations in our live every Friday at Floral Today's Facebook page. And I think that's it for today's episode. We had large booths made by gardeners. We had artists, we had landscape designers, and we had florists. So check out us for the next episode and see.
And I believe the next episode topic is thrones.
I love a good throne. I love some royalty.
So
maybe we'll wear some
see us
stones. Maybe we'll some opulence. We'll see. So check us out
the
next
regality
time.
of it all.
Leave a like. Do whatever you want. I'm not your mom. And you all have a wonderful day. Bye.
Mwah. Bye.
Boom.